Hi, I'm Zibby Owens, and you're listening to Moms Don't Have Time to Read Books. This episode has been sponsored by Bookhampton. As the premier independent bookstore in the Hamptons, Bookhampton has a highly curated selection of books for readers of all ages, unique one-of-a-kind gifts, and exciting author events. Browse their fabulous staff suggestions online at bookhampton.com. I'm here today with mindfulness expert Katz. Allie is the best-selling author of the Hot Mess to Mindful Mom series. She has just released the third self-help book in the series, entitled 1 Minute to Zen, Go from Hot Mess to Mindful Mom in 1 minute or less. As a coach, author, media contributor to ABC News, Fox News, CBS, and others, and speaker, Allie helps parents with mindful parenting, self-care, and more. She currently lives with her husband and 2 sons. How are you?
Hi, good. How are you? You'll laugh. I'm hiding in my car to do this interview. Very cozy in here with tea, but there's work at our house and my dogs are going crazy. I'm like, let's just go hide in the car. This would be perfect.
You're not the first person I've interviewed who's been in their car, just to make you feel better.
That is so funny.
I'm really happy to be interviewing you about 1 minute to Zen, go from hot mess to mindful mom in 1 minute or less, because I could really use that as a mom of 4. So
Oh, wow. How old are your kids?
My kids range from almost 4 to 11.
Oh, my God. Such fun ages. You're busy, though. And I'm one of 4. I grew up with 3 sisters. So
oh, that's great.
Yeah.
And you have you have 2 sons, right?
I have 2 kids. Yeah.
And how old are they?
They are 11 and 13.
Got it. So we all really need this advice.
I mean, I practice all the tools myself, so
awesome.
I'm not excluded from needing them.
So, Allie, I feel like I am not a mindful enough mom. I'm like usually in a hurry, and I pay attention, and I take moments to feel grateful, but I don't ever meditate or do any of the mindfulness techniques that I know are out there. And I've heard it all before, but really sell me on why I should meditate and what's in it for me.
Oh, my goodness. Well, I know you don't want me to take up our entire time answering this one question, but there's so much to share here. So I will say one thing. Meditation is about consistency. So if you meditate every once in a while, you're going to feel really good, when you do it. But if you want long-term effects of meditation, physical things like helping to regulate your sleep patterns and your digestive patterns, helping lower your blood pressure, helping lower cholesterol, helping with PMS and menopause, and so many things. I mean, you basically can Google anything and meditation and a study will come up of how it helps. It's incredible. And then, of course, the stress relieving benefits, feeling more responsive and less reactive, feeling more compassionate towards yourself and others, feeling more confident, more connected to your intuition, more connected to the world around you. I mean, so many benefits. But it helps to really, really be consistent. That's where the benefits come from. So I say that you need 2 types of meditation, preventative and prescriptive. So preventative is like taking a daily vitamin. You take a daily vitamin to keep you kind of on an even keel, feeling good every day. That's what a daily seated practice is for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20, whatever feels good to you. But I always start people off with really small amounts of time so that they can be consistent and feel like it seamlessly kind of fits in their life. So my students start with anywhere from 5 to 8 minutes. Just get going. But then we also need prescriptive responses during the day. We really need both. So if you have taken your vitamin in the morning, but you get a headache later in the day, you're going to want a Tylenol. You're going to want something that's going to help you right now. That's what 1 minute meditations do throughout the day, is helping you come back to center in the midst of stress or overwhelm or, any kind of anxiety or things like that. And that's why I wrote this book, because people need these tools to use throughout their day too. Just having a daily seated practice doesn't mean your entire day goes smoothly. We still need tools to use in the moment when we're faced with stress or overwhelm and those types of feelings. So that's like as condensed as I can make it.
I like it. So, but your book with 1 minute meditations, like, can that really accomplish all of those things that you just laid out there, like in 1 minute?
So in 1 minute, you can do things for your body like settle down your nervous system. And it takes 3 nice long deep breaths to begin to settle down your nervous system. So in a 1 minute meditation, you're definitely getting that. So you can calm yourself. You can come back to center. You can respond to a situation that feels in a positive way for you instead of just reacting and screaming or yelling and feeling terrible afterwards. You can take a minute to breathe, to come back to center and move forward in a way that feels good. So am I going to tell you that you might you would change your blood pressure in the moment because you'd be calming down. I'm like, what do I want to use in this example? Something like regulating your sleep patterns. You may need the longer daily meditation that's been, scientifically proven for that. But you are definitely going to help yourself in the moment to feel calmer, to feel more centered, to bring more balance into that moment, and to move forward in a way that feels good. So you will feel less frustrated, less overwhelmed, less anxious, less stressed in that moment. So it does really help. It really, really does.
Okay. You're starting to convince me here.
Okay, yes.
So I have 1 minute now since I'm on this podcast with you. Can we spend 60 seconds doing one of the 1 minute meditations from your book, like right now?
Absolutely. Okay. I'm going to set a timer. So we're going to be totally legit here. Okay. So what I want you to do.
Wait, which one is this from your book if I'm reading along?
We're going to do the straw breath.
Okay.
Towards the end.
Okay.
Okay. And what you're going to do is you're going to just take a nice inhale through your nose, and then you're going to exhale like you're breathing out of a straw. So you're going to sort of purse your lips and exhale like you're breathing out through a straw. So nice deep inhale.
Okay, I did it.
And then exhaling like you're breathing out through a straw as slowly as you can, but round lips, like the air has to move through that thin little straw until you've let all the air out. And then when you're finished, inhale again through your nose, nice and deep. And then exhale through that straw. And one more time. And exhale through that straw. And that's a minute.
Wow.
Does your body feel calmer?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's just 1 minute. So imagine feeling like the kids are screaming, you're running late, you just are really overwhelmed. Imagine just taking 1 minute to do 3 straw breaths like that. Okay. And then you're calmer and you can move forward in a way that feels good. What do I need to do? Okay, let me do that. Instead of just being in a blind panic, it can really, really help.
Okay. I'm going to try to catch myself needing one of those moments and have my husband video me doing these straw breaths in front of the kids and see how this works.
And the thing is that when your kids see you do it, first of all, you're modeling for them because we want them to handle overwhelm and frustration and all the feelings that they feel in more productive ways too, right? So they, will be watching you and you can say to them, you know what? I don't want to yell. I want to calm my body down so I can think about what I want to say to you. That changed the way I gave consequences. My hot mess days, my kids would do something and I would just scream out like, no TV for 3 days, which really mostly tortured me. Okay. And had nothing to do with what they did. Either,
I literally did that this morning. I literally said to my son, no TV for a week if you don't do this.
I know. And so it's like, and then afterwards you're like, oh my God, I can't even take a shower. Like, why did they say this? And now I'm stuck with it. So what I started doing is when I needed to give a consequence, saying, Mommy needs to think for a minute. I'm going to breathe and calm myself down so I'm not feeling so angry. And I'm going to think about what I want to do moving forward. And then I would give a consequence because I was calm and I could think about it that actually made sense for what they did instead of just not watching TV, So it helps a lot in those moments. It really does. And the more they see you do it, the more they start to do it on their own because they realize. I remember the first time my son was really upset about something and I didn't say anything and he just started taking some nice long deep breaths. And the reason why is because he'd seen me do it like 500 times. He finally caught on, And this was crazy. We left a really heated basketball game last week and my son was all riled up. He gets in the car. I don't say a word. He unzips his backpack, takes out an essential oil roller, starts rolling it on his wrist. He's 13 years old, and then takes a deep breath and is like a new person.
Wow.
I mean, they do pick up on these things. I didn't tell him to do it. I didn't even know he had that in his backpack. I mean, they do pay attention.
So how did you get into doing this?
How did I get into meditation?
I'm sorry, I wasn't very clear. How did you get into helping other people meditate and try to sort of take back their lives and be more mindful? How did you get into the writing of it? But first, how did you get into the teaching of it?
Okay. So about 7 years ago, maybe a little more than 7 years ago, I started meditating myself. And after about 6 weeks of meditating every day, I noticed that this kind of ball of anxiety that lives on my chest 24/7. I'm sure there's people listening that can relate to this feeling of just kind of a brick there. I was walking my dog and all of a sudden I stopped short and I was like, wait, that feeling is gone. Where did it go? I was like, this is amazing. It just felt so freeing. And I said to myself, well, the only difference is that I've been meditating, so maybe it's doing something. I'll keep going. And then I started noticing more changes in my life. I started feeling more confident and more patient with my kids and more compassionate toward myself and less judgmental of other people. And then I used it to help me kind of relearn how to fall asleep at night. And once that happened, I was like, meditation is the best thing that ever happened to me. I have to teach other people how to do it. I'm a total sharer, so whether I love like a lip gloss or a book or meditation, I want to tell the whole world about it. So I did a year-long program to get certified to be a meditation teacher, which also gave me a career and became my whole passion. And along with being a parent, I feel like is the reason that, I was really put here to make these tools accessible and relatable. So I started teaching, and then it was so on a whim. This is going to sound so crazy, but I had this burning sensation for 2 days over a weekend to write an article about meditation. And I had never done anything like that before. But I know the universe now is kind of pushing me into it. But I tucked my kids in on Sunday night. I sat down on my computer. In 20 minutes, I had written this article. I called it Everyday Spiritual. And I just wrote a couple things I did every day that made me really feel amazing. And I didn't edit it. I didn't think about it. I don't know what made me send it into Mind Body Green, but I did. And then the article did amazing. 2 days later, I wake up to this email like, congratulations, your article's published. And I was like, wow, that was easy. And then it did great. And I'm like, I think people want more of this. I think I'm going to write a book. And that is literally how I started writing my first book. I think people want this.
That's so cool.
And it turns out they really, really did. And now there's 3 books.
That's amazing. You actually wrote in this book, at least, that when the same week you signed the contract, I think it was referring to this book, that you were diagnosed with inflammatory arthritis.
Yes.
And you wrote, for years, I have been incorporating 1-minute meditations into my day, but I needed them in a whole new way with this revelation. That's when it hit me. It turned out I was writing this book as much for me as for you. So was that for this third book, or was that for the first book?
That was the third book. And, it was so scary because I was having all these symptoms and I was in a lot of pain. And it just hit me like I have these tools to help me. And it was just such a reminder that, I, of course, use them. But in these moments, Allie, you have something to help you. You don't have to freak out. And I just started using 1-minute meditations all the time. Every time I got nervous about what was going to happen or I was really not feeling well. And they helped me so much. And it was just an incredible reminder and an empowering reminder to me that I have these tools at my disposal. Everything I teach and share with others, I also do. As a teacher, you're never done. As a person, you're never done. It's not like I know about these concepts and I teach them so I don't have to worry about practicing them myself. I am practicing them all the time. And teaching them all the time, but also as a mom, as a person, I'm practicing them all the time. So it was very empowering.
That's awesome. Did you find that the writing itself was in any way helpful? Like I always find writing about things that I'm coping with or struggling with to be personally really helpful. Did you find writing these books, the act of the writing, as helpful as, that combined with the meditation?
Absolutely, because I love sharing and I find it a wonderful way to connect. Like when I get people that write me that have read my books and say how much they helped and like the parts that really resonated with them. It is such an incredible way to connect. But I will say the first 2 books I wrote literally fell out of me, really a smooth process. This third book, I hit writer's block in the middle. That was nothing I'd ever experienced before. And it ends up that it brought kind of a whole breakthrough around it. And then, of course, the book totally flowed after that. But this third one was a very different process for me. It was much harder, actually.
Well, sometimes just working through the writer's block, I don't know, you get better stuff maybe?
Yeah. And I just gave myself a break. I just literally in the middle was like, I'm taking 2 months off. And then I kind of had a day that was like my oh crap date on the calendar. Like if you don't start back today, you're not going to finish. So I had to get going. And then once I got going again, it was great. And this book, it's funny because to be honest, I didn't like want to necessarily write a third book. It's such a big endeavor. And my books are something that makes me the most proud in my whole life. I just can't even believe I did it. I love them so much. I'm so proud of them. But my soul like could not rest until I wrote this book. I wanted to be done after 2, but there was just something in me that was like, no, you have to write this. And I'm so glad I did because I know this book is going to help change lives because everybody has 1 minute. And the thing is that you can use these tools, but also you can experience how good it feels to use them. And then just maybe you want to see what 2 minutes feels like or 3 minutes. So it can also be a little gateway into the world of meditation that people feel really comfortable with because everybody is like, I can do anything for a minute as opposed to starting out with 10 minutes, which feels more overwhelming.
That sounds great. So you, just to change topics for a second, you wrote a blog post about your commitment to taking weekends off on social media, #weekendsoff.
Yeah.
So can you tell me more about this sort of digital detox and how it can help?
Oh my goodness, this has been life-changing for me because we all know that social media can be completely addicting, and I am no exception to that. It's how I connect with people, and if I want anyone to find my books and read my books, I have to be out there. But I was finding that on the weekends that I wanted to really be family time, I was like in moments with my kids thinking, would this be a good post? And I was like, what are you doing, Allie? Like, this is not how you want to be living your life. I wasn't feeling as present, as mindful as I could. And I was like, something needs to change. So I started with an hour off on the weekends, and then it turned into an afternoon, and then it turned into a day. And then I realized I loved the day so much, and I was feeling so relaxed, and I was like playing more with the kids. And if I had extra time, taking my dogs on another walk, or maybe just reading and relaxing instead of scrolling on my phone. And I was like, this feels so good. I want the whole weekend. And so that's how I got to the weekends off. But I do actually have on my website a digital detox program. I call it Digital Detox for the Modern Mom. And it talks people through how to make very small incremental changes to just put your phone away for little bits of time so that it can really have a huge, huge impact on your life. And you can feel a lot more present.
So here's my question. If you take pictures on your weekends that you think would be a good post, can you just post them like on Monday when the detox is over?
Yes,
okay.
Absolutely. And I would like to be clear. It's not that I don't touch my phone during the weekend. I do text, I'll check email, but I don't go on social media. I don't post anything. So I don't want to make people think I'm not literally on my phone ever, but not social media.
What's your favorite social media channel, and what's your handle? Instagram for sure. And it's Hot Mess to Mindful Mom. Love it. I like Instagram the best too, but
it feels the most like positive and fun. And I don't know. I love Instagram.
Yeah, it's a weakness of mine.
I hear ya. I do love it.
So what do you think about these meditation studios that are popping up everywhere? Have you heard about these? I know in the city and here in New York City.
Yes, and I teach in one. They're amazing. And they're getting more people to meditate. In my opinion, anything that gets more people to meditate is incredible. So I think it's absolutely amazing that there's more places that are encouraging people to just spend a little bit of time, quietly going within. Is wonderful, really wonderful.
How do you think meditating, like let's say I spend an hour to go to a meditation studio or I do, 60 of your 1 minute meditations in a row or something. Yeah. How is that different than like taking myself to some sort of a, like a psychologist or therapist or something where I'm like actively tackling the issues versus sort of putting my body on hold? Like, what do you think? Is it meeting the same needs or are those different needs, or does meditation replace it or complement it?
I would definitely say complement. I'm not a therapist, so I don't, even though I know there are incredible benefits of therapy, I've done therapy before, I don't feel really comfortable kind of talking about the benefits of therapy, but I can talk about meditation with confidence. And the thing about meditation is there's a lot of movement in meditation, movement of the mind. Obviously, thoughts come into play and we learn how to change our relationship to those thoughts. Movement of the body is one way that stress can be released. And then also movement of emotion can happen. So our body is so smart, as our subconscious is so smart. It knows what it wants to get rid of and what it's ready to release. And so things can be released in meditation that we don't even know what it is, and it just sort of happens because your body and your subconscious are ready to do that. I've had meditations that have turned into me crying on the floor. Not often. I don't want people to think that's normal and that's what's going to happen all the time in their meditation. But once in a blue moon, or definitely it was toward the beginning of my practice when I had a lot to release. But you can release things in meditation that are no longer serving you, and you don't even have to talk about them. So it's really amazing. Because sometimes talking about it feels so daunting. Not that there aren't incredible benefits to that, but sometimes we're able to just release things. So that can really be amazing too.
And I also just want to make it clear for the listeners out there that in your book, you have 35 different meditations that are each a minute. So I actually wouldn't be able to do 60 unique ones, but there are 30.
Yeah, and I wouldn't recommend that.
No, I was kidding. I was totally kidding. I was totally kidding.
I know.
But, just in case people are wondering, it's not just a book about meditation, but it's a hands-on, you can open it up and pick just one page. You don't have to feel like you're reading even a whole book. Just one page can be really super helpful.
Absolutely. And even some of the other chapters, about my mindful spending experiment and my intuition journal. And there's lots of other personal stories that I share in there. But everything's done in sort of bite-sized chapters that you can just read one in carpool line or before bed if you're, tired and you just want, a couple minutes.
Perfect. So if listeners take one or two pieces of advice away from this podcast from you, what would you want them to be?
I'd say my biggest piece of advice is don't underestimate how much a small change or 1 minute can create in your life. So not thinking that you have to revamp your entire life to make a change, but implementing these tiny little things, 1 minute meditation here or there, at a traffic light, in line at the grocery store, in the shower, whenever you can fit it in, will make an incredible impact on your life. You'll be surprised at how much better you feel from even a minute every once in a while.
And do you have any advice to someone out there who's tackling writing a book the way you did, even a book that might be flowing out of them the way yours did, or at least for the first two?
You know what? There's no easy way. It's about sitting your butt at your computer in your chair. I felt like I could talk about it for the next 10 years, or I could just sit down and do it. So block the time off on your calendar, make a plan, and just sit down and do it. Make an outline, and just every time you sit down, you tackle one more piece of it. There really is no magic formula. It just takes effort, but it's an incredibly rewarding process, and it's one of the best things I've ever done. But there is no magic formula. You just have to sit down.
And what is coming up next for you after this? It sounds like you don't necessarily want to write another book. I don't know, number 4?
Not for a long time. I feel actually after this third one, I do feel like really complete in terms of writing, but who knows what will happen. I'm putting out to the universe to bring me lots of opportunities that happen during school hours. Lots of people that want to learn and do all the things that I do. I just want to be home with my kids for a little while, honestly. I love doing what I do. I'm never going to stop, but I've been doing a lot of travel to speak and a lot of workshops and things like that. And I just need time with my kids at home right now. So that's sort of been my latest revelation.
I get it. I totally get that.
Yeah.
Well, Allie, thank you so much. And I am definitely going to be trying more of these throughout the day. I really am. And I'm going to keep trying to keep in touch with you and let you know what happens.
Please do. I love hearing when people have success stories. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out either.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much. And thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks. Take care. Bye-bye. This episode has been sponsored by Bookhampton, bookhampton.com. Thanks to Ryan and Steve at Texture Sound for the audio editing and mixing. Thanks for listening to Moms Don't Have Time to Read Books.